Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and today we're welcomed with Dr. Redacted. How we doing, my friend?
Yo, we're doing good. I'm excited to be here. Let's go.
I'm really excited. I'm pumped. Like I told you off air, I've been a big fan of yours since before I started the podcast. So, just
Hell yeah.
for perspective, September 24, we started the podcast. I've been watching you probably at least for the last 3 or 4 years.
Hell yeah. That's
So,
so
I'm,
sick.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, I always do this before we get into your story and all that fun stuff. Would you like to shout out your social medias and even upcoming events that you got leading into the beginning of next year as we're recording this, so
Okay.
that way the fans know what they can expect?
Almost all my social media, like Twitter or whatever it's called, X, Twitter, Instagram, it's DRX redacted, Dr. X redacted. And then on Facebook, if you find me, people who know, the people who know. Um, Upcoming, last show of the year, I got the New Year's Eve for GCW New Jersey. Then a few days later, I got ICW in New Jersey. And then early February, we got Bloodstone, the second show. Let's go. And at Berwyn Eagles. There's a lot more. I got my debut in Utah early January. Never been to Utah before. That
That's
should be fun.
badass.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, there's a whole bunch coming up. Uh, I think there's more for January. I just can't say it yet, so we'll we'll
Okay,
we'll leave it off there.
stay on the social medias for the updates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. While we're at it, you brought up Bloodstone. That's the first place I've seen you live was at the
Hell
Berwyn Eagles Club. You took on Chico Suave, who is nowhere near a deathmatch wrestler. He's been in some crazy matches, but never anything like that. Uh, what was obviously for one, it wasn't a death match; it was a hardcore match.
yep.
So just throw that out there. What was it like being a deathmatch style wrestler, competing against a non-deathmatch style wrestler in a hardcore match for the debut of Bloodstone?
It was sick. First off, it's at Berwyn Eagles, which is like maybe my favorite or close to my favorite in the Illinois area. A lot of history's happened there. Any bar that has a Tracy Smothers 8x10 behind the bar, you're a okay in
Absolutely.
my book. So yeah, it's so sick. Um, they used to have a bunch of other of like the old like shimmer wrestling, like with all the women's 8x10s, but they took them down. I don't know why, but it was always really cool. Um, I'm originally from the East Coast, so like getting to wrestle in a place like that, it's like, oh, I've seen it on all these like old DVDs or like on streams and stuff, but I never got to wrestle there. But now that I live in Illinois, I get to wrestle there like a good amount. It's always like the best. It's always got such a good crowd too. But Chico, I think he was really really nervous, but he killed it. He was very good. I like doing matches like that. I like wrestling people that normally don't like do this style. I feel like we kind of both bring out the best in each other because like I can do my thing and he can do his thing, and then we find like a medium, like a middle ground, and make it like ooh ah. And I think people really liked the match. So I mean, I'll just go based off their opinions, but I liked it.
As a fan, I enjoyed it. I loved it. The reaction I got from clips and usually when I go to these things, I try to make like a highlight reel of. It's not a very good highlight reel of it, but a highlight reel nonetheless because my editing techniques are not the best. Learn as we go, but the reception I got from it was great, especially because it was so different from what Chico normally does. And
Yeah.
like I got Chico on here, and he told me he was scared, not scared, nervous, very nervous going into this, but excited at the same time. You as the guy who's experienced these crazy match types, how do you ease the nerves of your opponent slash partner in this situation to be able to go out there and have a safe-ish match?
I like he had seen my stuff before, which definitely helped. I think he saw me wrestle Effie live, and he told me about it.
Mm,
And me and Effie did like a lot of glass, and we did lots of crazy shit. But I just assure him like, hey man, like everything that like you would do to me or I would do to you, I'll also take. Like there's uh, it's more so just kind of like I don't want to peel the curtain back too much, but it's a
fair
lot of
enough.
reassuring and just being like, hey man, I promise you, you'll be fine. Don't worry. And I like to think that I took good care of him. You know what I mean? He got some blood, but he's still alive.
Look, he he'll definitely have the battle scars for years to come. But
Yeah,
like from what he was saying, it's worth it. It's a memory. It's something he'll carry with him forever. So it's cool in the
I
same
will say,
aspect.
when the day comes to run it back, I'm gonna make sure he's got a lot more scars to remember it by. So we'll go base. I'll give you that answer.
Okay, okay. Um, I usually start every podcast with this question. It's fun, and I always like the story. To do this, we all got to be fans. So, when did you come across professional wrestling, and what about the sport made you fall in love with it?
Okay, so like I was a young child back in the day, because we all were obviously, and I was like given the action figures, and this is back in the day when it was like this was early '90s, so it was
Okay.
like it had like a weird schedule, but I had the big rubber Andre, the big rubber Hogan, and for whatever reason, everybody had Hillbilly Jim, so I had him too. Those are the ones I remember. I'm sure there were more, but those are the three for whatever reason I remember. Uh, and then like when you're a kid, you can like kind of go any route and get into like anything essentially. I didn't quite get into wrestling until like I'll say third, fourth grade, which was right around the Attitude Era or like getting into the prime Attitude Era. Fourth grade for sure. And figures wrestling was everywhere. Like if people don't realize at that time frame, like Stone Cold Steve Austin was like a legit celebrity. Like he is now, but like you know, I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were telling about how, like, at that time, he would do a meet and greet and, would make $20,000 because there would
Yes,
be a lot. Like, think about that. Oh, a meet and greet. That's crazy.
and
That is
especially in that
crazy.
time.
And I remember there were certain malls because I'm from Long Island. There were certain malls, and we always referred to them as like the WWF mall because they were doing like meet and greets every weekend. It felt like, which it would be nutso because you'd be like, oh man, Gold Dust and Rob Van Dam are appearing, at Joe's Crab Shack at the mall. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know where I got Joe's Crab Shack, but roll with it. But yeah, so it was all around that time. I've only ever been to one WWF event in my entire life. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, my aunt won like house show tickets, and it was too bad to broadcast. And it was right around the time I believe where the invasion was happening, the WCW ECW invasion, because like the
Okay.
big match they were promoting before going into the Royal Rumble was Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam.
I
And
love it.
growing up on the East Coast, or especially the Northeast, I would watch ECW all the time at night. That's like WWF and like WCW were always fun to watch, and like you'd play with the toys while watching. But like ECW, even at like 2 or 3 in the morning, because you'd have to like kind of like fib to your parents that you were asleep. You were glued in. You were like, "This is the craziest shit I've ever seen." I hope I can curse on this. Uh,
You're good.
but okay, cool. But it was just like, this is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my entire life, and you didn't want to look away because who knew what could happen next? And it was a short show, so. Oh,
You
okay,
blipped in and out.
yeah, we're back. We're back.
We're
Hang on.
good.
Yeah. So early ECW, Attitude Era, WCW. I love the idea that like people won't realize it, but like being able to flip back and forth between the channels, that was crazy. Like one show goes to commercial, so you flip back to WCW to watch, Ultimo Dragon face Yuji Nagata or Juventud Guerrera on Nitro. It was the coolest shit, dude. Um, so yeah, for whatever reason, growing up, I was a big Headbangers fan. Loved the Headbangers, but and
Okay.
Steve Austin. Steve Austin was and Vampiro. I don't know where I'm getting these from, but
I
those were
loved
like,
Vampiro for
dude,
no
as a kid,
reason.
yeah,
I just loved him.
coolest dude. He just looked cool.
It was the
Nowadays, I'm
look.
like, yeah. Nowadays, I'm like, oh, white people with braids, it's gross. But then I was like, yeah, right. But then I was like, man, this guy's so sick. Mick Foley, always will be a fan. We went to the same high school, so that's like my thing right there. Yeah, kind of cool.
That's fire.
Clearly, we didn't go at the same time. He's much older than me, but um, same high school, so that's cool. Cactus Jack, I'll always love Dude Love, but like, does anybody really like Dude Love the most? Come on, no, you're right.
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not.
But Mankind, Mick, Cactus, like, oh, it was so good, and like everything he does for the most part was like, oh, it's believable because he's actually telling Vader to break his nose, or he's actually just throwing his body onto that concrete like a fucking psychopath. Yeah. I definitely tangent on that one. I told you I was going to do
You're
this.
good. You're good. You're good. It just makes me think my like looking back growing up, my first live events were at IWA East Coast shows in West Virginia when I was a kid.
Hell yeah.
And so I grew up watching Madman Pondo and Too Tough Tony, and like you'd have New Jack come through and Sabu.
So sick.
So obviously I grew up watching the WWE.
Yep.
TNA just started around whenever I was growing up. So like I watched those, but my biggest memories were watching these death matches. And which is so poetic because my first podcast with the wrestlers with Pondo. So like deathmatch wrestling has a special place, which it's funny because you guys are really hard to get on here. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault, but you're busy. And I feel like the lore behind deathmatch wrestling is sometimes like it's hard to break into it, if that makes sense, because there's a group of fans that really understand it, and then the rest of it's kind of like, why are you doing this? And like I'm one of those people that like I like watching it in the Berwyn's Eagle Club. But like if I tune into Wednesday Night Dynamite, do I want to see it on national TV? No, not really. I want to see it in this small, intimate setting where I understand what's going on.
Okay, so I have a big music background, and like to me, it's like seeing deathmatch wrestling live. Like, and don't get me wrong, it is the coolest shit to see it. I don't really like it, but it is really cool to see it on the mainstream. It's really cool to see AW like dip their toes in, so to say. Yeah. But to me, it's like you want to see that really good local band live, but you don't want to see them at Madison Square Garden or Soldier Field. That's a thing out here. I'm still getting used to the marquee spots in Illinois. I've lived here for like 2 years now, so I should know, but like I'm still dabbling. To me, it's always the New York references. So like you want to see a band at Madison Square Garden, you want to see them at like your local VFW, or you want to see them at like the local concert venue or a bar or some shit like that. And it's just that intimate feeling. Like, hear me out. I know this is gonna sound crazy to the people that like aren't into this. Like when that first tube breaks and the glass starts flying, like you don't want to be rows back. You want to be front row. You want to be in the splash zone. You want there to be blood near you. You want there to be people fighting like 3 feet in front of you or whatever. You don't want like to be like 20 feet back row. Like, that shit's lame. That's my take on it. I know some
Look,
people
I get it because I tell this story all the time, but it's my favorite New Jack story. I had to have been like somewhere between like 4 and 6. I was really young. I forget who New Jack was facing. I want to say it was Pondo, but I could be wrong. Okay. And they're like, the spot that got me was New Jack always had the fork, and he's stabbing, whoever, we'll just say Pondo in the forehead. Sure. And it squirts. I might be in like the 3rd row, but it literally squirts out of his face. And like I start gagging, like I'm gonna throw up. And my dad takes me up to the bathroom, and I throw up all over the floor. And right there's Ian Rotten and Zach Gowen. And I throw up everywhere. And I can't remember if it was Zach or Ian, but they're like, that's awesome. And then like my dad and we're all like, we'll clean it up. We'll figure something. And they're like, no, go watch the show. And I go right back and finish watching New Jack and whoever finish the match. But like, it was so cool because for one, it's the only place where something like that happens. And it's not like a big deal because everybody's like, we're used to it. Just go enjoy the show again. We'll take care of this. Like, obviously you got a little bit more than you paid for, but that's always the coolest part. And it was just the thrill of the whole thing. Because now, like, I'm 25 years old and I've been telling this story for 20 years.
That's
So,
so
and
sick.
it's the coolest stuff ever. And I feel like death matches are one of those rare cases where it can lead to those memories, especially like when you take a young kid, because I mean, like, obviously you gotta pick and choose how you're gonna do that.
Yep.
But it's an experience, and it's not like you're watching a horror movie, for
Yep.
instance. Like, there is gore, but it's
Yeah.
not like it's nothing crazy, because there's a level to it and there's some safety to it and there's precautions and things like that, which I liked it so much as a kid, because also you go to a deathmatch show or like a show with a deathmatch on it, it's just so much different than everything on the show. Like
Yep.
Bloodstone, for instance, you guys were the only match that really showed us that style. And then, like, in the main event, we had the street fight, but it's completely different. It's more of a TV street fight. You guys
Yes.
really showed us what a taste, I guess, of what deathmatch wrestling was.
Hell
Is
yeah.
that fun for you, going out there and just giving people
I
um, dipping the toe in the water, kind of?
I love working those type of shows just because, like, no matter what, you're going to be the shock and awe. Like you said, it's going to be either people losing their minds or losing their lunch. Like,
Or both.
I definitely, those shows are the ones where I have people come to the merch table after and they're like, so where's the blood? Like, where's the blood pack? Or they're like,
It's
yeah,
not real. It doesn't
exactly.
exist.
They always ask like the stupid questions and then they're like, oh my God, how do you do this? And I'm like, are just built different. That's all it is. But I definitely agree with you. It's always fun because at Berwyn, a lot of people don't know this, but there's always for whatever reason a police officer there, and
Mhm.
it's never the same guy. So you always have these people come in there and like mid match, like you'll glance over and you'll see them like kind of like reach for their gun, like or put their hand there, and it's like no, it's okay. This is a
It's
part
part
of
of
the
the
show. Don't
show.
worry, don't worry. It's always gets me like
I
but
love it.
yeah, I love working those shows a lot. It's always interesting to meet people that like aren't familiar with it. But I agree with you too. I think it's okay to bring children. You have to know your kid. If your kid is going to be a rambunctious, like all over the place, maybe not the best place. Or if they're like an iPad kid, maybe
Yeah.
not the best place because you got to be aware of your surroundings. But I
Yes.
don't know, for whatever reason, Detroit, because I wrestle Detroit a lot, there's a lot of children that come to these shows, and they are some of the best fans I have. But
Yes.
like we're talking age range of like, bear with me, like 8 to 12.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna be honest, as an 8-year-old, I probably would have loved it, but would my parents have ever have taken me to this? Never, not
No.
a chance. So shout out to the cool parents.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I love it. I'm here for it, man. Bloodstone
It
was sick. Uh, it was very interesting when me and Chico started bleeding like pretty heavily or like
was
bleeding at all, I guess. And
yeah.
people were just like, oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord.
Well, I heard, like, Chico was telling me that you, like, obviously I don't want to peel back the curtain too much, but he was like, we had so much stuff we wanted to do that we couldn't get approved for,
Yeah.
whether it was the Eagles Club or whoever, but we just could not. Is that something that you fall into a lot, where it's like, hey, I want to do these things, but with the commission or whatever will not, the powers that be won't let it happen?
I'm somebody like I hate the idea of mailing it in. I am a consumer of other ideas or other like hobbies or whatever, and there is nothing worse than, for example, like you go to see a live band and they just like shit the bed, or it's
Mm.
like an awful set list or whatever. Like I can't imagine, especially in this day and age, no one like I don't want to say we're in a recession, but no one's doing good. You know what I mean? So like when people pay their hard-earned money to come see this, even if it's like 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, like go out there and give them like everything you got. Especially as like we live in the day and age where like everything's gonna be streamed. Hundreds of people, 50s of people, thousands of people are gonna watch it at home at live or not live, but like the stream after. Like,
Yeah.
I hate the idea of people mailing it in or not doing as much as they can. I understand, like, if you're hurt or whatever, you can't go out there and fucking kill yourself or whatever. But if there's no reason to not give it your all, why bother? And There are definitely times, for examples, where I will be like, I have all these crazy ideas. Like I got A, B, and C, and then I'll go over to Nick, for example, and he'll be like, "Well, we can only do, A and B." For reasons whether it was like another match was doing something and he wants to make it seem more important, or if you know the venue was like, no, you cannot do that. So, I try to work within my confines, but you have to always ask. Like, you'll never know if you don't ask. You know what I mean? And I'm always
Yeah.
willing to go the further thing. Plus, I look at it this way: I give my all, the fans give back. Whether it's buying merch or cheering or responding or posting about you, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, that doctor guy who went through a door, whatever. No, no, no. They want to see they want the full atmosphere. They want the craziness. The only thing
Absolutely.
I understand that Nick likes this thing. The only thing I was like, is that there's guardrails. I hate guardrails, but it was different. So it looked good aesthetically. It looks good, but for someone like me, I'm like, ugh, guardrails.
Okay. Something I'm interested because I've asked this a couple times. I'm interested in your answer.
Sure.
So, for fans who only see, deathmatch wrestling as violence,
Yeah.
what's the biggest misconception about deathmatch wrestling that you wish people could understand?
It's always the people who just like they see a clip or they see like a bad clip or a clip gone wrong. This is garbage wrestling. It's stupid. Just watch the whole match instead of just watching like a snippet. That'd be like you showed me a movie clip and it's just like something I don't care about and like within like a 3-second clip. That's not enough. You need to either see the
Yeah.
whole thing or a whole segment. It's it's one of those things where I feel, especially with deathmatch wrestling, you have to bring people to experience it. Because if they don't
Yeah.
experience it, they're gonna watch something like a video, and most of the time, if they're not interested, they won't get invested. They'll be, or I mean, that's the same thing with like if you show your non-wrestling friends wrestling, if they don't
Yes.
want to give it a shot, they're never going to. You have to bring them there. The live experience is so much more. Like if you watch like if you don't like wrestling, and I'm like, hey, watch Nigel McGuinness versus Brian Danielson from Ring of Honor here. It's this crazy match where they do all these things. Most of the time, I guarantee that person's gonna be scrolling on their phone.
Hmm.
And that was a non-death match example. Um,
Exactly.
but oh, here's Misawa versus Taue, not All Japan, 94. Like this is like the peak era. It's great. It's King's Road, dude. They're killing each other. And meanwhile, you look over and they're on Twitter, just
Scrolling away.
it's just you have to get people's interest. But I always think live shows are the best way to do it.
And I feel like that's with any
I hope that
wrestling.
answers the question.
It does. Like I
Okay.
feel like, for instance, my I always throw this out here when I talk about people not understanding wrestling, but like my fiance does not like wrestling. She will not watch it.
Yeah.
But in May, I did a sponsorship with Exodus in Cleveland,
Okay.
and for that, I felt like it was a big deal. It was the first like big sponsorship for the podcast.
Hell
So
yeah.
we that weekend we went to my brother's graduation in West Virginia, and then went all the way up to Cleveland for this, and she was there, and like she probably won't admit it, but like she definitely enjoyed it. She definitely watched it. She made fun of like Carson Drake and his dance and all these big dudes in tights, but she was watching. And
Hell yeah.
like another example I always throw out is like my step siblings.
Okay.
They're aware of wrestling, but like we took them to a lucha libre show a couple years back, and they by the end of it wanted everybody's autograph, tracked
Ah!
everybody down, and like now they're not as big as fan as like me and my brothers are, my
Yeah.
like blood relative brothers, but like they still enjoy it. They'll still tune in. And I just feel like that's with any wrestling, like
Yes.
taking somebody to a live show is the best way to get somebody hooked
Yep.
because it's like going to a live concert. You might not
Exactly.
like this band at all when you listen to it on Spotify or YouTube, but then you go and watch them. It's like, okay, this could be something I could dig. This is completely different. And that's just what
Especially
wrestling is.
like indie wrestling, if it's in a smaller venue or like a Berwyn Eagles type venue, uh, it's easier because it's so intimate. It's right there. It's in your face, as
Yes.
opposed to like, we're at an arena. Might as well be watching it on TV at this point, unless you have like you're crazy and you got like first 3 rows. But
Yeah.
everything past like row 5, might as well be watching it on TV. My
Pretty
opinion,
much.
that's whatever. But
I agree.
um, when you put them in that element of right there, boom, in your face, it's so much easier to get invested or to pay attention. Especially when we live in a day and age now where like I'll have promoters be like, "Oh, a promo has to be shorter than this because Twitter or people's response times or how long can you keep people hooked for?" It's like, oh yeah, yeah. So, it's better to bring them always live. That's my opinion.
And I feel like with wrestling, and I guess it goes back to even like concerts and bands, it's always the nuance of the live performance that
Yes.
draws people in the most. The little things that you don't get to notice on television is what draws everybody in. It's the in between and the build that you only get to feel in the moment that really draws people in.
It's everything from like to like someone going around the ring giving a high five or like prime example someone like me, my entrance, I push people on my entrance. Sounds pretty crazy when I say it like that, but when you watch it, it makes a little bit more sense. But like there are definitely people that will come up to the merch table after and be like, I had no clue what was going on, I just stood up like everyone else and you pushed the fuck out of me, and that got me so hyped and I was so into it. And that's stuff that like people never forget, and they'll like I'll get people that come to the merch table and be like, yeah, the first time I saw you, you pushed me. And it's like, that's crazy that you have that memory. Like, I'm not trying to downplay it, but for me, it's like, every show I'll push like 20 or 30 people on an entrance or whatever. And, I'm not going to remember every single one of those. Like, that'd be crazy if I did. But for that person, they will never forget that, or they'll remember it for years to come, which is so cool.
Something else I'm interested in, because obviously, like, usually when we talk about, you guys wanting to get into the business and being a part of this business, you always hear the generic, like, I don't want to say generic, but you always hear the dream of, I want to be on WrestleMania, or I want to
Yeah.
do this. Do you remember the moment that you realized deathmatch wrestling wasn't just like something you wanted to watch, but it was like something you needed to get into and be a part of?
Okay. So it's gonna be an interesting answer.
Okay.
So, for a long time, I had no interest whatsoever in deathmatch wrestling. It was not my thing. Growing up, I feel like, especially in the Northeast with indie wrestling, you were either a combat zone person or you were a Ring of Honor person. I was a Ring of Honor person. I went to all the shows. I loved it. Nigel McGuinness was my guy, still is. Um, and then I had gotten an offer for one of the COVID WrestleManias, the Tampa one, to do a like death match with JTG from Crime Time,
Mm.
which also sounds crazy. Um, and at the time, I was wrestling for a place called Kaiju Big Battle. That was like exclusively where I was, and like I'd be the guy on the show that would jump off balconies, or I'd be the guy on the show who would get put through like a real table, or would use like the real weapons, not like little buildings and shit like that. I don't know if you are familiar with Kaiju, but it was like people dressed up like not Godzilla characters, but Kaiju, and they fight in a wrestling ring with a bunch of little cardboard buildings and stuff.
I think I
So I
know
got
what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. Some people
Okay.
know. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments that know all about it. But um, when COVID happened, they couldn't run live events or whatever, and that was not their thing because they didn't want to. That was COVID. That was a different time. But I got offers to do this shtick outside of Kaiju, and a company called VXS asked me to do a thing with JTG, and we had some ideas. We use light tubes. We use uh, doors, we used chairs, and we used thumbtacks. That was the other one. And it was my first time like dabbling in a lot of this stuff. And after I was like, oh, that was great. Like I had this like crazy adrenaline rush. I loved it. The fans were super into it. The feedback was crazy. Um, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep pursuing this. And then I ended up parting ways with Kaiju Big Battle, and then made my own character of Doctor Redacted. Hi, how you doing? And and then we just went from there. But it was like once I got a taste for it, I was hooked. I was like, this is what I want to do, and here we are.
So, I mean, you kind of explained the I guess birth of Doctor Redacted.
Yeah.
So, what does the persona allow you to express that maybe your real life self can't?
Well, he is a completely unhinged, ridiculous, no nonsense, shoot the gun first, ask questions later type guy. Can't really do that in real life because you
No.
get in trouble, you go to jail. Um, so it's one of those times where it's like, I can vent how I feel about things a little bit more, and
Definitely.
I can be that unhinged, crazy person, and people seem to like it. So that's cool with me.
From what I've noticed, and this is just something that I've found really fun, is that you guys that participate in death matches might be the friendliest human beings I've
Oh,
ever met in my life. Like I've talked to Joel Bateman in Australia, Pondo, Tony, I'm Blake, Tarzan Duran. Like I've talked to, and that's just a couple off the top of my head. And like all of you guys have been like, once I get you guys on here, have been the most down to earth, ready to talk human beings I've ever met. And like, so I think like sometimes you watch you guys wrestle and as fans maybe we get the misconception that maybe you guys are scary or you guys are like out there, which I'm sure you might be a little out there to do the kind of wrestling you do, but at the same time, like you said, I mean, you get people coming up to the merch stand saying how you made their night and that you was the thing that made the impression on them. um, what's it been like for you to go out there in the ring and unleash something and then come back and then have that fan interaction and get to show them, you show them redacted in the ring and then you get to show them your real self at the merch stand.
I've definitely noticed one of the main things is people always be like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to be so nice," or "You're so friendly. This is great." I definitely had a guy, I won't say any names because I don't want to embarrass him, who made merch for me at one point, and he was like, "Dude, I was so afraid to approach you. I've been sitting on this idea for these trading cards for like a while now. I just thought you were like an actual crazy person." And I'm thinking, like, do you think I just like wander around my house, like constantly bleeding, just breaking, different furniture over my own head? Like just like walking around, like no. And I was like, dude, I'm happy that I've convinced you enough, but thank you for now approaching me. Um, I definitely love like giving that side out there, and then giving the talk side. So I noticed the mailing it in thing before. Another thing I've noticed is I've been to a lot of conventions and stuff in my day, and like I've met some celebrities that were like you take the photo and they couldn't get you away fast enough, or they have no
Yes.
interest in interacting at all with you, and there is nothing more of a letdown than that. Like like that phrase, "never meet your heroes." Not saying I'm
Hmm.
anyone's hero, but I don't ever want to be that thing where someone's excited to like meet me and then they walk away being like, "Fuck, that sucked," or like, "Oh, that guy's such a dork." You know what I mean? I don't ever want that feeling because, like I said, I've been there. I get it. Uh, I definitely want people to walk away and be like, "Oh wow, he was so nice," or "Oh, that was great," or "I really appreciate it." Like that's the feeling I'm hoping for. I'm pretty sure I get it most of the time, but whoever hasn't got that from me, I'm really sorry. But sometimes I'm a little wonked out because I've been hit over the head so many times. But yeah, I hate people. I've definitely seen some wrestlers. Once again, we won't say any names that are just like so rude to the fans, and it's like I don't understand where like what you're gonna get out of that. Like, do you think people are gonna spend more money because you were like mean to them or like not nice? Like, not saying I'm just doing it for the money, but like just like their mentality of like, I don't get it. I don't understand that. Like, fans are they're not your boss, but like they're the consumer. Why push the consumer away? That's what I don't get. So that's my take on it.
I agree 100%. That's something um that I've learned both ends kind of because
Sure.
like I've been able to go to conventions now as a fan and you will have the interactions that are very get in, get out, and then you'll have the interactions that are like, "Hey, I want to know why you're here. Explain yourself. Let's talk and
Yeah.
connect." And then as now I'm slowly getting into the I guess popularity to where I'm getting to have those same interactions with other people, and I'm always try to make sure that the idea of me that these people have, because obviously on here it's a friendly environment. I want to make sure I maintain that even when it's not the easiest thing to do. And I
Yeah.
think the hardest place is always online because the people that message you is always interesting. It's like trying to keep that online is probably the hardest part, because people ask the craziest things sometimes. But it's been fun to try to navigate that.
Yeah.
What's your journey with that been like? Trying to navigate fans and just to try to keep that positive image.
All right. Well, first, I'm going to put this PSA out there. I don't want a championship belt. Please stop asking me that you're going to make a
I
championship belt.
swear.
You guys are the worst. You guys
For
are like
real.
the telemarketers of the wrestling world. I hate you all.
I don't want insurance. Like,
Yeah.
leave me alone.
You definitely have to learn how to weave through the thick of it. There are definitely some
Yes.
people that will just outright ask the weirdest things. And I don't ever want to like be like, hey man, don't say that shit. But like, keep it short and sweet. I've learned. And there are some people that will talk all night, and that's also cool if you got the time for it. But I've definitely, I've never gotten mean, thankfully. I've only gotten like super nice or just like, what do you want from me asking this? Like, where are we going? Where are we going with this? Or
The nice way to wrap this up. Like, what do you want out of this
yeah,
interaction?
I've definitely had people ask for like pictures of my feet.
Okay, that's interesting.
Definitely got some interesting ones. Definitely got some interesting ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Segue here. Completely different topic. What's what's a match that you would say has fundamentally changed you? Maybe not physically, but like mentally and or emotionally.
Ooh, that is such a tough one. I don't think there's one match in particular. I feel like every match I've had, I take something away from it, whether it's good or bad, or like just like even a little like, you know what, I think I can change that, or like feedback from someone of like, hey, maybe instead of this, try this, or just like little things like that. But I've had a lot. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I've had like a lot of really cool matches, especially over last year too, that like I feel like I learned so much from, or like anytime I've worked with John Wayne Murdoch, for example, I learned so much. And like, he's such a, I don't want to say teacher, but he's a really great teacher. He always clues me in on a lot of stuff, but there's not one match in particular, or I can be like, but
Okay.
which is not to downplay any of the matches. I'm trying to find a nice balance for this answer. Um,
You're good.
I would say if you watch from the beginning to like where we are now, like I still do some of the same stuff, but you could see the progression. Like you could see how it's gotten crisper, better, or like the psychology's more there, I guess you'd say. But
Mhm.
I don't know. But there's a
I,
lot.
s- I see what you're saying because like once again I feel like we're really resonating here, but once again it resonates to like my podcast journey. I feel like because
Sure.
at first I have no clue. I had no clue what I was doing. Just turned the camera on, started asking questions, and it's something we are 187 episodes in,
Hell
and
yeah.
like
187.
we're finding grooves, man, and it's something that like I've noticed like there was a period in the middle where I was so heavily focused on like over preparing. And
Yep.
now I can go into these things with a general idea of what I want to talk about. And like I might not even get into, I might have 20 questions down. I might not ask 15 of them because we've done went off and had just a conversation, which is so fun. And I feel like that's what wrestling's turned into for a lot of the people I've had on here is like at first you're so worried about spots and just how to navigate this match, and then you get into a groove to where now it's just like, okay, we'll go over a couple things and then we'll just go out there and have fun.
Yeah,
And it seems
exactly.
like that's where you're at.
Yeah, there's definitely some like I guess it depends on the opponent too. Like there are people who I've wrestled like 100 times, not 100 times, but a lot, and like every day, every show, I overthink everything. I'm very in my head person. There every show, Kenzie's like, you don't wrestle this person a million times. Don't worry, it's fine. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then like, we'll get there and like I'll call their spots, they'll call mine, like type deal, or like you said, we'll just have fun with it. But then there's like new people who it's like, all right, I gotta take my time with this one. Or people that barely speak English. And I'm like, All right, I'm gonna need some time to work on this one. Not to say that they're bad or anything, just to be like to make sure that we both understand each other type deal.
Yeah, there's a barrier there. You got to figure out how to
Exactly.
break through it. I get you.
I feel like with podcasting, it's like I feel like with wrestling, you can go out there and you have a general idea of things. With podcasting, I feel like you really have to like find your footing. You have to find your groove, like how
Yes.
you want it. Because I feel like in your head, you're like, I'm going to ask these questions, but like you have a question that you start the shows off with. You have a question now you end the shows with. Like you have a kind of like a rhythm to it now, as opposed to just like going out there and being like, I hope for the best.
Yeah. But and I think the only thing about podcasting is like there is no there's for like most of it, especially when you get somebody on for the first time, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So like for instance, I've never met you before. I've only seen you from afar. So like you have no clue what to expect here. Am I going to get some guy that's, wild and out there? Or am I going to get somebody who's calm and collected? Am I going to get somebody who doesn't want to talk? Because I've had that too. Like I've had
Oh,
guys that are like, I want to do this. And then you get on here and you ask them 30 questions and you went through it in 18 minutes. So like, it just really depends, but it makes it fun too at the same time because you never know what you're going to get.
yeah, it definitely makes for good stories, I'm sure.
um, Something that I'm sure people like out there are really curious about is because another misconception for deathmatch wrestling is there's not a story being told in the match. How do you personally approach telling a story within a death match?
It's literally just the same thing as any wrestling match. And that's what people need to see and understand. Like, it's literally like, so they're like, I hate bringing up, a lot of people say this, but everything is a different flavor of ice cream, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, there's regular wrestling, which is like what we'll call it TV wrestling. There's deathmatch, there's lucha libre, there's comedy wrestling, uh, there's all kinds. There's strong style, puro, whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's everything's a different style. But it's funny because I feel like with lucha libre and with deathmatch especially, people will be like, they're just going out there and hitting each other's stuff. They're just going out there and doing flips, whatever.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you're clearly not like reading between the lines, or you're clearly not like actually watching. Because if you watch, you would see the story being told. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's, I mean, if you look at just like a 3-minute TV match, what's the story being told here? That this really big guy is really strong and that's why he beat someone in 2 minutes? I mean, yeah, maybe, but like, I guess it's just people have to like actually pay attention. That's the whole thing. I feel like once again, it goes back to what we are saying of, oh, they're just doing flips. Oh, they're just hitting each other with light tubes or chairs. Like that's all it is. People have to give things a chance. You have to actually watch it. That's why, like, there are times like when we're at home and Kenzie would be like, "Oh, why are you watching this bullshit or whatever?" And I'm like, "Well, because like, for example, if not that I'm gonna talk shit on it, but if I'm gonna not like something or whatever, I have to understand what about it I don't like. I don't want to just be like, someone told me I shouldn't like this.
Yeah.
Like, we won't get into political stuff, but like sometimes I'll catch myself watching like clips or like not when I say clips, I mean like 5 minutes or so, not like a 30 clip or something, or like something on TV that I don't normally like agree with, or like it's not my shtick, and that's fine. But I will sit there and I'll be like, I want to educate myself so I know like what about this I don't like, and not just because like Joe Schmo on whatever talk show said don't like this, or because I had a friend that said, no, you won't like this shit. I want to understand why I wouldn't like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of diverted from the question, but
You're good.
all wrestling, especially deathmatch wrestling, they all have stories in it, whether it's just overcoming whoever you're facing or whatever. There's always a story there. You just have to. Some people have different stories or pick up different things from all kinds of stuff. Sometimes people will say very poetic things. I'm like, where on earth did you fucking get this quote? I'm a big. This will be my last tangent for now. I am a big fan of like old Godzilla movies and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's a movie called Rodan about the big like pterodactyl looking thing.
Yeah.
And in it, there's a female Rodan and there's like a male Rodan.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Rodans gets caught in the volcano and dies. And the other one flies into the volcano and kills itself. And someone compared it to Romeo and Juliet, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy that this like
It makes
goofy
sense.
monster movie you're comparing to Romeo and Juliet, but like I get it. Yeah, you're right. That's sick. So yeah, it's just you have to if you don't want there to be a story or if you're not perceiving one, that's on you, and that's fine.
Agreed.
But like, because I don't think I don't want to force anyone to like deathmatch wrestling. I don't want to force anyone to like wrestling in general.
Yeah.
But if that's going to be your fucking main criticism, then clearly you didn't pay attention.
I think
Boom.
another thing is sometimes just having your eyes opened. Like for instance, I brought up earlier how like I'm not really a fan of seeing deathmatch wrestling on national TV. So like
Yep.
I watched I think it was All Out last year with Swerve and Hangman in the cage.
Okay.
Okay. I watching it, I thought it was too much, especially the end. I thought the chair shot and the syringe through the mouth was too much. And for so long, I would die on that hill. Like, hey, I just
Yeah.
think it was too much. And then I listened to Swerve on Chris Van Vliet, and he explains the whole arc of the whole story. And I was like, when you really break this down, it makes a lot of sense. And then the story being told, Hangman was like, I guess how Hangman explained it was this is the gunshot at the end of the Western. I killed the bad guy and it's over. He's dead.
Oh,
He's
that's a fun
done.
way to get.
And I was like, I never even saw it like that. So like it makes sense. It makes a perfect sense. Was it like for me, I felt like too much at the time, but yeah, but once you
Yep.
set back and you at that time I was just watching it through the gore that was going on. I wasn't looking at it through the creative lens, and it was like, okay, that changes the whole way I think about this. So
Do you like the match now?
yeah, now I love the match.
Oh, okay.
I
That's a fun take on it.
the only thing I think was just crazy that I don't know that it like I once again I understand seeing the syringe through the mouth spot maybe in a Berwyn Eagles club. I don't know if the 8-year-old in the front row at All Out needed to see a syringe through the mouth because that's not what they signed up for. Like you go to watch Bloodstone Wrestling that's advertised X match. Let's say, for instance, just as an example, you expect
Sure.
this to happen. You
Yeah.
hear steel cage match, you expect maybe a little bit of blood, maybe a little bit of violence. There might be a chair or something
Yeah.
involved. Not a syringe. A syringe is just it. Like what it
You're
was for
pretty.
me.
I get it. I get it.
It made my skin crawl because I hate needles.
Ah!
So I was like, oh my god, no. And then the chair shot was just like you heard the bang and that was it. And I was like, damn, he just killed him. But it all came full
Now the
circle.
gunshot thing makes
It
sense.
made perfect sense, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. The only thing I took out was the syringe.
So one other fun comparison is like, for example, I'm not like a huge scary movie person. Tons of people think I am. I get it. Whatever. Kenzie really does not like scary movies. So like for someone like her, like for example, let's say we'll translate scary movies to deathmatch wrestling. You can't like if someone's like not into that style or like that thing at all, there's no way they're gonna take any positives. Like I was like, hey, watch Jurassic Park. It's one of my favorite movies. And she watched it and was like, this is terrifying. I don't like this. Which is hilarious in itself. I know. But she's not going to take any positives out of that because she's scared of it. And like, that's not her genre. You know what I mean? So I can't expect like somebody who's like, you know, doesn't like blood, gore, or like people hitting each other with shit to be like, yes, I can see the story in this wrestling or I like this wrestling.
I like
Just
the I like the comparison to horror movies because once again, horror movies are so niche, and deathmatch wrestling is
yeah,
so niche. But like,
exactly.
it's also one of those things. Like growing up, I never thought there was a story in scary movies. I just thought it was to scare you. And like now as an
Yep.
adult, I'll go and I've watched all the Scream movies. I've watched all the Friday the 13th, all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. Like, and I could go on. But like I
Yeah, for
now it's
sure.
just like I understand. Okay, this is why it started. This is all the stuff that happens. Like some of this stuff was crazy. I don't know if once again, I don't know if you needed to go that far, but like I understand why you did. And it was fun seeing like one, I think that really gets like just going off on a horror movie tangent, but like Saw, I feel like is such a like identified franchise because you just see it as gore. Like what is all this
Yeah.
gore? But if you watch the story, like last year, me and a friend of mine went and watched all the Saw movies in order, and I was like, "Oh my
Oh,
god, this is an incredible story." And nobody,
Yeah.
you never hear about the incredible story that was told in Saw. You just hear about like what crazy machine or whatever like stunt that happened
Killing
that was
somebody.
insane.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like it's just finding. I feel like it's all about cleaning your palate and then going in with a fresh set of eyes. Like how can I
I
watch
agree.
this in an objective, like non like I'm not going in and judging anything that's happening. How do I watch this objectively and figure out the art in it? And it changes everything.
Um, and then like to put things from like a different perspective, like for example, when I was announced for that Bloodstone show, there was a ton of people that messaged me and were like, "Oh, are you like the only match like that on the card?" And I was like, "Yeah, but there's other good matches on the card too. They might not be death matches or hardcore matches or whatever, but they're also there's other good stuff." And they were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not gonna fucking lie," but it was like, go give that a chance, which is like you don't need there to be blood and gore in every match for it to be good. Like
No.
go enjoy some regular wrestling too. And I definitely had people there that were like, wow, this was a great time. I can't wait to come back to the next one. So February
But
6th.
I feel like with that one even it was one of those I went in, I knew some of the people on it and
Yep.
like I one match that really like I wasn't sure about because I knew Saban Gage, but I didn't know Anakin at all.
Oh,
I've
Anakin's
seen
great.
and Anakin's great. I've had him on the podcast. Shout out to Anakin. But like I went in expecting that to be the go get popcorn match or the bathroom match. And I watched the whole thing and I was like, this is amazing. As soon as Anakin came out and the crowd popped, they sang his
Yeah.
song. I was like, this that changed my whole mind. I was like, Dad,
Love that.
you might not want to go get a cigarette. This is it. This is where we're gonna watch. And sure enough, it like completely changed how I thought. Once again, clean the palate, watch it objectively, and they changed my mind.
I love that. That's so sick. And I love that you
um,
can admit something like that too.
that's something I've learned in podcasting, honestly, is just being able to tell the honest opinion. Because when I first started doing this, there was so many people around me saying things like you can't be yourself, you got to project to be a journalist or an analyst. No, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not a
Yeah.
journalist. I don't do any of that. I didn't get a degree. Let's just have fun and talk to you guys. And like since telling the truth, it's made this so much more fun and so much more
Hell yeah.
relatable and it's blown up. So obviously those guys wasn't right.
Fuck.
You said it. You said it. Couple more questions and then I'm gonna let
Sure.
you go, my friend.
Sure.
Um, how how has deathmatch wrestling shaped you outside the ring?
Oh man. That's a great question. There are definitely scenarios where like I guess like I wouldn't be as like intimidated by certain things anymore. Like if I'm like doing chores around the house or something, and uh, Kenzie will be like, "Oh, watch out for that thing." I'll be like, "Ah, who cares?" Uh, like, oh, if I bump into it, it's not the worst thing that'll happen to me this week. Um, it's definitely also made me more patient. Uh, and let me explain that. So, like, I'll get some really stupid injuries, and before I met my beautiful Kenzie, I have never been a patient person with certain injuries, and I'll pick scabs, I'll do the whole thing, and she has taught me uh, and threatened me how to be patient and just leave things or let them heal or do this or like don't go back into like normal life. Like take a day, heal, and sometimes you just have to kind of sit back and just let your body like be like, hey, okay, now I'm ready to get back into the normal world. Um, yeah, that's a loaded question. So there's a lot of ways you could go about that. But I love deathmatch wrestling. I love everything that it's brought to me and everything it showed me. Uh, I feel like I won't give a good enough answer for this question, no matter
Okay.
what. I hate that. I'm
Do
gonna think about that one now.
we'll ask it next time. I'll save
Yeah,
that one. I'll put that in the bag and we'll come back to it.
I mean, I'm
Um,
grateful because, like I said, it's given me the life that I've had now. Like there are other factors too. Like she's like the best partner person. Like I mean, it brought me to her. So I guess right there, boom, there you go. But like, it's also like gives me the life that I live now, and it gives me like I get to see all these places around the world because of it. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a loaded question.
It
That's
really
why I
is.
liked it. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot because I was like, that one's gonna get him.
Now that's
Um,
gonna get someone, or someone's gonna be like, "It's done a lot for me."
yes, that's usually like it's shaped my whole life, and that's it. And then you're like, okay, that was cool. Let's move on to the next one.
Good job.
But
Thanks.
um, do you have a mentor in wrestling or even in deathmatch wrestling or both?
I definitely have some older. I don't want to say older, but definitely some people that I have in my corner. John Wayne Murdoch, definitely one of them. I definitely have some friends in wrestling that I surround myself with, and they'll give me fair, honest opinions. Um, Man, it's weird because I feel like mentor is like in my head because I'll go to like Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles. He's like so much older than them, and like a lot some of the people that like I'll be in the same corner with, I'm either like the same age or older than. So I'm like, Ugh. um, yeah. There's just like I guess a lot of veterans like Matt Trabot. He'll always give me good feedback on stuff. I said Murdoch, like Danny D'Amato, like all of them. They'll all give me pretty good feedback on a lot of stuff like that, and I'll always appreciate stuff like that.
I love it. Um, two more questions,
Sure,
and
sure,
then I'm gonna let you go.
sure.
Um, so I lost it. Damn it. If someone was to watch
Okay.
one match of yours, what match would that be for you to get them rolled in and to really understand the world of Redacted?
This is a question a lot of people ask, and I should have been ready for this one. Man, it's tough because mm, the second time I wrestled John Wayne Murdoch in Detroit CW, that was like a big crazy one because then I got put in the NGI too after. I feel like you get to see like all first time I wrestled Matt Tremont in New Jersey at H2O. That was for RPW. That was a big one. Um, and then I guess if I were to throw, I don't know. There's That's another one. Too many to choose from. Not to toot my own horn, but there's there are I won't say them because it's not nice, but there are more matches I would tell like there's a few matches I'd say, hey, don't watch these if you want to know who I am. But there's a lot more that I'd be like, watch these and you'll get a good idea of it. I want to say I feel like you could get a good idea of who Redacted is or whatever off of 85% of my matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going out there and looking, you're more likely to find something that's going to entice you to see another one than you are that's going to steer you away.
Yeah. There's been like a
Okay.
handful. Like I said, we won't say who or where, but whatever. Where I'm like, man, I hope nobody fucking watches this.
Okay. I'll be honest, I'd say it's about the same, probably 85-15, where I'd tell you to watch it, and then I would tell you maybe stay away from those. So I
Yeah.
get you 100%. I get it. I get it.
But
I feel
I
like
like to
that's
make the
with all
comparison.
content, though.
Yes. I like to make the comparison of this is like my job. So it's like, some days you go to work and you have a really good day. Some days you go to work and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going back to this.
I don't even want to be here.
Yeah, exactly. So
I get it. I get it.
yeah.
And like sometimes we have a bad day, sometimes your partner has a bad day. So it just depends. I get it. Bad days happen.
Yeah.
And you can't make them all. Like if you had 100% great matches or 100% great opportunities, what would you learn from it?
There you go. I even feel like with the match with Chico, if you go back and watch that one, you will understand pretty good who this Dr. Redacted guy is watching that match.
Definitely. I feel like that's also, for one, it wasn't a very long match, and I always love shorter matches when you're trying to get somebody, like when you're trying to draw somebody in, give
Yep.
them I think like 8 to 12 minutes is probably the perfect match length for a new viewer because there's a way like 10 minutes isn't too long.
Yeah.
And usually with match pacing, that's usually where you're going to get a steady flow.
Yeah.
And and you're not going to lose somebody that way. And I feel like with you guys, you gave for that show especially just the perfect amount of extreme just the perfect amount of wrestling. And then I liked the finish a lot. I was a big fan of the finish.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. So like, and something about Chico, that fighting spirit he has, really just put
Yeah.
it over, and I loved it so much because he was like the bad guy, beating him down, beating him down, and beating him down, and Chico
It's
just
not much.
wouldn't.
It's not often where I get to be the bigger person. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be the jerk now. This is great.
I liked it. I like
Um,
and like, go ahead.
I like real quick. One thing I really like about Chico, we're gonna put him over for a second,
Okay.
is he's like a comedy guy. I think comedy deserves to be in everything. Like nowadays in like movies, especially like not forced Marvel comedy. Not saying that all Marvel movies have bad comedy, but sometimes there's a lot of forced jokes. But like
Yes.
you can put comedy in any scenario and still have it be serious, but like you can laugh at it type thing, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
he was very like there was points that match where like I'm coming to run in and he thinks I'm gonna punch him in the face, so he covers up and then he moves and I hit him in the face with the green mist. And it makes sense though. Or like the beginning when he's like shaking my hand and I'm like, I don't want to fucking shake your hand. Or like he puts me in the little arm lock and he's like, I got him. And it's like, you don't have shit. But like I think there is always a place for comedy, whether it's deathmatch wrestling, regular wrestling, lucha league, whatever, any style of wrestling. There's always room for comedy. So I like that about Chico, and I like that he was very okay with putting in some of that ha.
I think it made sense with you too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you said earlier, you're the redacted character. He's a stone cold badass. He's going out there to mess you up. And then Chico is fun loving, hugging, praising everybody. He's just out there to have fun. And so, like, how else would you make those styles clash? He's gonna
Yeah.
like, I mean, to be honest, the only way Chico's gonna beat you if he breaks you comedy wise. He's not gonna like. He's not gonna out hurt you.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So he's gotta find some other way to do it. What better way than make you smile?
Yeah. Find that way where he breaks me and then takes advantage of it.
Exactly. Um, Last question. This is
Sure.
something I try to once again ask at the end of everything, especially when we're dialing down the year. You've had an incredible 2025. Goal wise, what are you looking for to get out of 2026?
Oh, I mean, I guess just keep climbing, just keep doing more. Not too much like where I'm like killing myself more, but uh always more. Maybe go see new places. I love going to like I mentioned, I was going to Utah. I love going to new states, new territories, new countries, whatever. I love doing all that stuff. I guess just because we're gonna be honest here. I know we talked this on AEW, but deathmatch wrestling ain't gonna get me on TV, and that's fine. And I'm not looking to be some contracted guy like that. I get it, but like in this realm, like my first goal was like Japan and Cork and Hall, and then I got that. That was really cool. But like now it's just going to new places, just like dipping my toes into like other new areas and just seeing the world. I love it. So, you know, I just want to keep riding this ride.
I love it. Man, I will continue to ride this ride with you.
Hell yeah.
Excited to see what's going on. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you want to come on for part two, I'd love to have you. I'm sure there's plenty more we could talk,
Oh,
dive
we'll do a
into.
part. We'll do a part two.
That I know we did at the beginning. Also, you want to shout your social medias out just one more time, just in case.
Yeah. So Twitter and Instagram, it's DRX redacted, Dr. X redacted. You have to explain it to some people. We got that Pro Wrestling Tees store. My other merch store just closed. Unfortunate, but Pro Wrestling Tees were on there. Got some shows coming up. Tune into the socials. You'll see the shows. We got one more this year, New Year's Eve. I hope to see you all there. And we got a few shows coming up at the Berwyn next year and in Chicago. So everybody keep your eyes out.